On the 21st of December of this year 2020, we will see the Great Conjunction, which is when the planets Jupiter and Saturn create a double star. But what is the significance of this astrologically? Let's have a look at that. Okay, so I'm not much of an astrologer, but when there are big events like this, I like to look into what's actually going on and what it actually could mean. Now, when it comes to this great conjunction that's coming up on the solstice, it's not going to be one of those huge, big, all of a sudden we are here, now we are here, within a split second. It's going to be a development, but it is, I believe, a completion of one cycle moving into a new cycle. And there's a good reason for this. If we look at the planets themselves, so Saturn is about reduction, limitation. Saturn is the guardian of the threshold and is often represented with death. Saturn is also about discipline, moving forward in career and bringing possibilities. But it's that whole reduction, the contraction aspect and the death aspect that I'm particularly interested in this, for this particular great conjunction. On the opposite scale is Jupiter, which is about expansion, abundance, well-being, all of that good stuff. So on the one side you've got a contraction, on the other side you've got an expansion. Now, I think you'll probably recognize the contraction that's been happening, especially this year. It's been building up, and it's gone to a point of intensity. And when something gets to a point of intensity, it has to explode. And that's where the expansion comes in. So you've got this contraction happening, which is then going to reach its zenith, its point of bursting, and then it's going to expand again. And that's a cycle completing and a new cycle beginning. Now, the other interesting aspect that I found was that this great conjunction happens every 397 years. Now, if you add the numbers up, 397, you get 19. And if you add 1 and 9, you get 10. 10 is the number of a cycle completing, and therefore a new cycle has to begin. If you add 1 and 0, you get 1, which is the beginning of a new cycle. So you've got, as I say, everything seems to be leading towards and indicating that this is a completion of one cycle, which means that there's a new cycle going to start. And as I said, this whole it isn't even just this year, it's been building up for a while, but I think this year has just been the year where it has become the most obvious, and the pressure points have been pushed to their limits. You can see it in people's attitudes, people's behaviors. You can see it in the stock market even. It's just gotten to that point where everything is just reached its peak, and it's got to drop down in order to start again. So it might be a bit of a tower situation where all of a sudden everything's just going to collapse, and life is going to seem like it's not worth living and rough and everything else. But that's got to happen in order to start creating new. So don't expect it to be this happy, joyous movement from one phase into the next. After a completion of one phase, as I say, that contraction happens and it reaches its peak, it's got to explode. When something explodes, it usually causes destruction of some kind. But that needs to happen in order for an expansion to then take place. So just keep an eye on that. If you're aware of it, then you know it's going to happen, and you can sort of guide your way through what's actually happening, and there's no surprises that come along with it. So I would suggest, this is my own personal opinion obviously, but I would suggest just let it happen the way it's supposed to happen, so that you can start moving forward in that new cycle. And that new cycle is going to be individual, it's also going to be global, it's even going to be universal. I believe it's going to be this very big explosion that's going to topple the tower, and then from that point we can then start building new again. And that really, really does need to happen. You know, everybody's just blaming everybody else for everything that's going wrong, and you know, people are not supporting each other anymore. It's just gone. Support's gone. Happiness has gone. Kindness has gone. You know, there's still some people that actually are pushing forward, but I think generally everybody's just gotten extremely selfish, and you know, this is the way that person sees it, and therefore that's the only way. And then this person comes along and says, no, it's not that way, this is how it is, and this is the only way, and everybody starts battling and fighting, and just, you know, find some common ground, for crying out loud. It's not that difficult. I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty and the specifics of why I'm saying that, but I think everybody's seen it. They've seen it in some way, some fashion, and it's just got to end. It's just got to stop, and everybody's got to come together and help each other. Simple as that. And I think this is what's going to happen. So, from the solstice, expect things to start getting better, but before they've got to start getting better, they probably will collapse, so that we can build up from scratch again. And as I said, my opinion, don't take my word for it. Go out and do some more reading, some more study, and ask other people's opinions and make your own mind up. It's the only way to do it, and the best way to do it in anything. So anyway, that's me. That's my little 2 cents worth. And I'll see you next week. Cheers.